I'm sorry. We actually started.
Yeah,
so.
we're so this is a filmmaker's brain or filmmaker's brain, which is basically the new name of the podcast that you've been doing before, but we decided to change it since I'm jumping on the podcast train right here.
Yeah. So we had a jump off, and instead of the jump off, we have Isabell.
Oh no.
Bella.
Yeah.
Bellus.
Oh god. Yeah. I've been trying to do this introduction. You keep
What are we talking about
interrupting
today?
me. We're talking about this Danish film called Men and Chicken, which I introduced to you about a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Well, I think you showed me like the trailer a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like several months ago. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
then we
right.
actually like, we can watch this, or what was the other, like, we were thinking about watching something else.
Yeah, it was something else, but then I told you, like, hey, man, this is fucked up, and you got interested immediately because it was, like, fucked up how, basically.
Yeah.
And, like, when I'm saying fucked up about this movie, it's not in a way that's, like, there's no negativity at all.
It's not like The Prestige fucked up.
No, because, like, so people describing the director of Men and Chicken is a movie that came out in 2015. I saw it first at the Gothenburg International Film Festival when it was recently released. And it got a lot of different reactions from the people in the audience because it has a very... it's a very absurd kind of approach.
It's very, like, it's dark comedy.
It is dark comedy. Like, someone on Rotten Tomatoes even described it as darkly hilarious slapstick. And it's like, I wouldn't call it a slapstick. I really wouldn't, because slapstick to me is more like making fun out of nothing, or making fun out of something that's so easy. But this is so dark. Like, people describing the director Anders Thomas Jensen, who's been he's been nominated for so many awards and also won like a shit ton of awards. One Oscar, by the way. Sit down. No.
Sit down. You're not supposed to be here.
Come on. No, but this is actually just his fourth film.
Feature film.
Yeah, it's his fourth feature film. Which actually makes it even more, like,
ridiculous.
Yeah. It makes it weirder because they have people describe him as an absurd creative genius, and
he is a
I'm agreeing
he's
here.
a genius. Yeah,
I'm agreeing hard here
100%.
because it's such a weird thing. So
you wanna tell what the movie's actually about?
I'm coming to it. I'm sorry. So Men and Chicken, or in Danish, Men and Høns.
Men and
Høns. Is about two brothers who's living in Denmark, and they are both suffering from physical and mental illness and abilities that are making their everyday life very hard. So,
at least one of them.
Yeah, at least both of them are actually suffering from weird tics and stuff. Like the Gabriel, the youngest brother. Yeah, the youngest brother. He's
no, isn't he one of the oldest?
No, he's actually younger than Elias.
But they are both.
They are the closest brothers.
They are the first.
They are the first brothers.
Two,
that's
like,
right.
Of
so yeah, you're right. They're the oldest, and he's also suffering from like a lot of tics, where he goes around going like. yeah.
And the weirdest times as well. Which is like also like an inside of comedy. I think he
like when you at least expect it, things are really weird. But like Gabriel is one of the most normal, or he's the most normal out of those two brothers, and most of his abilities are things like I said, going all like doing weird sounds, having physical abilities against him. And Elias is a bit weirder. Like, do you remember what your reaction was? Like the first thing that actually describes him as a character? Yeah.
I love when movies do like stuff like that. Well, he has a masturbation problem, or like I don't know what it's called.
Basically a masturbation addiction.
Yeah, but I think it's like chronic, right?
Yeah, it's a chronic masturbation kind of thing.
Yeah, so he needs to like jack off
Yeah,
every now and then.
all the time.
Yeah, when something like he just stopped the car.
And that's the same thing. Like they're also doing that when it's at least expected and at least like it's not a fitted situation for this right now. So the movie goes off with an introduction of the brothers, and after that you get to know that their father is he's in a hospital, and he's soon to be dead. I don't know how you say that in a less.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah,
Basically,
he's
dead like
almost
5
dead,
minutes
like-
into the movie.
Yeah, basically. So Gabriel shows up to the hospital, and he's trying to comfort his father, who's almost like he's basically dying right there in front of him. And he goes like, "Elias must be here. Elias must be here." And Gabriel goes, "Yeah, he's coming, he's coming." And then Elias shows up like either right the second he dies or right after, and he goes, "Well, father's dead," basically. And it turns out very clearly that Gabriel doesn't like Elias. He's very uncomfortable having him in his presence. It's like, yeah, we don't need to go home together. We don't need to do these things together. But basically, his father is talking about the truth right before he dies. And when he dies, they get this box of his stuff, and inside of the box is a videotape. So they take it home to watch it together. And on the tape, their father basically just tells them that, "Hey, sorry guys, I know I just died, but I'm not your biological father." And they've been thinking that since they were children. So it's like, it sets, like, I love the way that they do this, because it sets the feeling for the entire movie. It tells you that, hey, we're going to put a piece of surprises here and there, like...
So, Gabriel and Elias gets to know that they are not, like, their father, who seems to be their father, is not their biological father.
No.
And they get the name of their...
They get the name, which is a scientist, and their father is telling them about this scientist father called Evilio Thantos. And the funny fact here is actually that Thantos in Greek it means dead or death. Death.
Okay.
So it's actually like a fun trivia kind of thing.
That's dark.
Kind of dark. Yeah. And also like a fun detail is that when their father is supposed to do this whole videotape for them to tell them that I'm not your biological father, he accidentally flips the camera down. So when he sits down, the camera is not straight up. It just goes down and like...
It's focused on his crotch,
it's
basically.
It's focused on his crotch, and he goes, "I'm not your biological father." And it's all like such a weird situation. But however, Gabriel gets super interested in finding their father. And Elias is basically just, "I just want to be with you, Gabriel." And Gabriel like, "I hate you." It's such a weird brother-brother relationship. And it makes out for a very, very weird trip to find their scientist father, who's based on a very small island where there's just like 41 people living. Do you remember when they were talking about like, we can't have one person moving off the island because then they will take our island off the map?
Yeah, so it's like a side thing that the island can't lose people.
Yeah.
Because they will, like, underneath 40 or whatever it was. Yeah. They would be like, they wouldn't count as a town.
No. And they're also like very weird people living on this island. It's not like when they get over to this island, they immediately meet the major's daughter or major's sister, I think, who's basically telling them about Vilio's home, which is in the forest. And that there's also 3 other sons that this scientist has. And they're like, "Oh my god, we got brothers. That's so weird. We never knew about this." Like, they immediately get more interested. And not that Gabriel is a character that gets very excited, but he's kind of like, he's getting his hopes up that this trip is going to be something else. and it gets something else.
Yeah, I think he was just so excited for his father to be a scientist.
Yeah.
so
Because he's also a university teacher. He's very smart and also like studying a lot, reading a lot of books, and which is a big part for his character actually, which you get to know later in the movie. So that's why also like, hey, I'm a scientific teacher and my father was a scientist. This makes so much sense.
So when they get to the house, they meet their brothers, and this mystery begins around where their father is, which they say is alive.
A thing to mention is also that the meeting with the brothers isn't exactly as he would have expected it to be, or the audience for that matter either, because when they show up to the house, this is insane, which is also a fun kind of trivia thing, that the house that they're using looks like an abandoned mansion. And this house is actually a part of an old military hospital in Germany where Adolf Hitler used to have people working and stuff. It's such a weird trivia thing. But this house is amazing. It looks hysterical, and they've filled it with so many weird animals walking around and weird furniture, weird stuff. They have created an entire world inside of this house. But yeah, back to the meeting part. Gabriel and Elias gets to know where the house is and where their brothers live and where their father is supposed to live, and they show up. But they get attacked when they get there.
By the brothers, yeah.
Yeah. What do they attack with?
Well, yeah, I think that. That
was your biggest shock for the first time. You go, what the fuck?
Yeah, that looked so terrible. Like you just think that some of them just got like brain damage, like an industrial kitchen, whatever you call it. Like,
yeah, the huge, like they have this huge. What do you call it? It's
Castrull.
A Swedish castrull that's this big. It's hysterical.
You make soups and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So
a pot.
So like, just spoiler alert. Let's get that out of the way. This movie is really fucked up, and it showed us to be about that. Okay, so their father is dead. We get to know that pretty quick.
Yeah.
They didn't want anyone to know.
No.
Because they have this pressure on them that
their father was very smart, and the island saw him as a big scientist.
Yeah.
And the brothers are not very smart, or they are, but they are having a lot of, like Gabriel and Elias, mental instabilities, and also are not able to keep jobs, are not able to be socially functionable in the society or anything. They never leave the house, basically.
Well, it's super like weird characters and weird situation.
Yeah.
And like watching this movie, you go into it and like very early in, you're like, how is it to be normal? Like how is normal people? Like where are they?
Like,
you know?
Is this satire? Is this
exactly.
like, is this socially criticism or social criticism or whatever? Because like at first glance on this film, like one of the first things I was asking myself was, is this some sort of satire, like about people with disabilities, or is it some social satire that in this universe this is how we live or whatever? But it's not, and never, like nowhere are they displaying this movie as a satire kind of thing. They're displaying it as drama, as some sort of mystery comedy, something like that. So I was like, where are they going with these characters? Where are they going with this, like their normal life? Like, where is this coming from? And it came like a big surprise in many ways. Like, they are creating a reality that we question, but they're creating the reality in this like little sphere in a real reality.
Yeah, which I love, like the way they isolated themselves from everything else, and they make you wonder, like, you know, or not make you wonder, but it's more like, they make you understand that this is real.
Yeah.
Or like they just suck you into this world where people can be weird.
Yeah.
And I think like when I saw it, I was like, okay, so this is something that reminds me of The Lobster. You know, people are weird in this place, and you accept that. You accept that pretty soon.
But the only difference being that The Lobster is also displayed as a satire.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, you see the same kind of pattern in how they make the movie, but it's totally different kind of genres.
So Isabell, you have seen this 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, 4 or 5 times.
Which is like 3 or 4 more times than me.
Yeah.
What are like if you just compare the first viewing to your latest viewing, like how much did you get out of the movie?
I think when I saw it the first time, it was kind of a shock reaction, or not shock, because like you get further and further into the movie, and I like how they are making it. They're very good at following the timeline. There are no huge surprises, and the things that they are surprising with are slowly getting there, but they're not what do you call it, like,
it's not like jumping over a period of time.
No, they're not. And but also
like
they're not
following with everything that's happening.
Yeah, but they're not leaving any visible clues either. Like they want you as the audience to be smart, but not smart enough to figure out what the plot is.
Yeah, exactly. Which is something like, if you, it feels like the plot is just in your face.
Yes.
The whole time.
The whole time.
When you watch it for the second time, but it's like the plot is so weird and so extraordinary that
it's also big.
Yeah,
like it's a big plot.
You can't like, even if you have the thought that it might be, you would be like, no, it can't be.
No, it can't be. Like whenever you're thinking something weird to yourself that this might be the explanation, then you go, nah, no, it can't be. Like, and then when you finally reach the plot, it's like, I was right the whole time. Like, am I as fucked up as this dude? which
is something really hard to do.
It
like
is.
in movies, I always like, is it a good plot? Like the plot twist. How is the director showing it?
Yeah.
Is it like, are you trying to oversell it? Because when you try to oversell it, it seems lame.
Yeah.
You know, how much
shows.
how much information are you giving every time?
Yeah.
And well, like it's so dumb for me, like that you don't understand it the first time you see it.
Yeah.
Because the amount of information.
Yeah.
Like he's showing you like the chickens having this some time of
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like, to explain what you're talking about, because we said that before, that this house that's also very weird and looking abandoned, basically, that it looks like they moved into an abandoned house which is falling apart, and inside of this house there's also hundreds of animals. There's sheep, there's pigs, there's this huge bull in the basement that's chained to a wall. There are countless chickens, mostly, probably due to the title, basically, too. But the thing you're talking about is that a lot of these animals are also having weird mutations.
Yeah,
like
that was the
weird
word.
physical features and mutations. So some of the chickens are having like cow hoofs. And
So
feet.
It was really interesting to see how he gives you the information.
Yeah.
Like we see the first mutation like a long time in, like maybe in the second half.
Act.
The second act,
Yeah.
or maybe even almost the third act.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, okay, so I noticed that there's a lot of weird stuff happening. There's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
But then like when you see the mutation, like, okay, something is wrong. But you don't even think about that these mutations means that the
scientist or the brothers
are mutated.
No.
You know, because you already know basically that they're all what's it called, when you can't have children.
they're all I'm losing it. Infertile.
Yeah, infertile.
Yeah.
And well, it makes sense that like they're, you know,
because mutations is also known to make people infertile. Like it's
like hybrid animals.
Yeah, like a fun fact is actually that a lot of people were criticizing this film to make fun of people with disabilities. Like mostly because of all of the brothers are having a hair lip, which is also like a physical mutation that's not as common these days, like to humans, but used to be. And so many people criticized the movie for making fun of people with disabilities, and that people with hair lip were supposed to be compared to animals or people with disabilities. But actually, the director met these criticisms with saying, "Hey, this entire film is like more to lift people up that are different, and to tell like any person with any sort of
disability
or weird physical feature, or
something that makes you special.
Something that makes you special is more. It's more like an ovation to them. Like
and thank you for saying that, because I wanted to get into what I think the point of the movie is.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna like understand why or how I got there. But I think this movie is basically saying that you need to accept that you're partly animal.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to accept that humans are a part of animal, and it's like not like the biological
your animal
way.
instincts.
You are not just like whatever makes you human. There's also a part of you that makes you an animal.
Yes.
And what like we learn that this living in this like animalistic way is just destruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see it in everything they touch.
Yes.
Everything is falling apart.
Yeah.
Even Gabriel's family.
Yes.
Like he had like almost a wife or whatever. His friends, Elias made them disappear, basically. So, but
they're not able, like they it's as if their abilities make it like what am I saying?
It makes it hard for people to
they
enjoy.
They can't live their social life. They can't maintain an acceptable social life due to norms.
Which is all about that. You know, as soon as you accept it, you accept that you are weird.
Yes.
It all changes, which they do in the ending.
Yes.
Like so our father was sick. We are partially animal.
Yeah.
Just let's just live with it, because they didn't leave the island because they knew they were weird.
Yes.
You know, they
it
thought
was a safe space. It was a
exactly.
zone.
It was safe space, and they didn't want to change.
No.
They didn't even want to get their father's like corpse out of the house, because change was for them making stuff bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Or actually, like, also, like, they are, by isolating themselves, I think they made their reality and they made their social structures. So also that, like, letting their dead father stay in the house, for example, like, if they would move him, that would, like, disrupt their social structure. So, like, you asked me what the difference was between seeing it the first time and seeing it for the fifth time or whatever. And, like, one of the things you were mentioning, like, about accepting yourself, that was actually a theme showing up for me very late. Because the first time I saw this movie was kind of a shock factor. Like I said, it was like, hey, this movie is amazing. Like, the people I saw it with, I was in community college filmmaking at the time, so I saw it with a lot of young amateur filmmakers, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this shit? This is so weird. Like, people were seeing it out of a filmic feature kind of way, saying like, hey, this is a cool thing, but kind of weird. They were not seeing what it was about.
That's the thing, that like this movie is like one of those movies that you keep, like, you see it the first time and you're like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's all nice and like, I laughed and whatever. But it's also like you get this feeling like I missed so much, or like there is so much to it more.
Yeah.
Or this was really, really planned. Like the details and everything. And
like the director planned for you as like as an audience to follow a couple of steps to react to the movie. And it's the same thing, like you're saying also, that seeing it for the first time, like I could see it a 20th time, and I truly believe that I will see new things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like and not in an Easter egg hiding kind of way, just by like getting more and more into it as myself, like finding new things that I can look into and see new visions.
Yeah, and I love when movies use the Bible, or like some type of script that like, well, Tarantino used it in Pulp Fiction, for example, that the whole thing with Samuel L. Jackson, saying that that paragraph from the Bible, and they use it here, or like there's a lot of you know, what is his name? The rat.
Oh yeah, Joseph.
Joseph is like
we gotta get into that actually.
Yeah, well, he's talking about like biological stuff and science stuff, and he's reading from the Bible, and he's explaining stuff from the Bible.
He's very smart.
And like, sorry, I'm taking my phone out because I wrote down this quote from the movie.
Yeah.
That Joseph said. And I think it's brilliant, and it was about it wasn't here. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
So it was basically about that. They were saying that he was telling them about communication, and that you need to communicate, and he was like, humans need to communicate. Like, he was telling like this super sciencey stuff, sciencey way, and they're like, communication is number one part of how to be in a community or whatever. And without communication, humans wouldn't be allowed to do great things or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, and without that, they're just animals.
Yes.
You know, and
which is so smart.
Well,
like it's telling you.
Yeah.
It's telling you as an audience,
you.
but so early. So that's also one of the facts that makes you almost feel stupid when they finally release the plot.
Yeah.
Because the plot is, since we have already spoiled everything else, I guess, the plot is that Gabriel is trying to find out what kind of scientist Evilios was. And it turns out he was a stem cell,
DNA, like he
a
was
stem cell researcher,
yeah.
And they have this door down to the basement that the brothers talk about as if as dad's study or father's study or whatever, and you cannot go down there. And numerous times Gabriel tries to find ways to get down there. Like first, and that's also an interesting part. Like in the beginning of the movie, he's trying to go up because his father is supposed to be upstairs. And they try to stop him from going there. When he finally goes there, like, they shove him down the stairs, basically. And when, like, later of the movie, he's trying to get downstairs. This entire house is also physically used to, like, reveal the characters' visions and goals. So he's trying to get down there to see what Evilios used to do, like what kind of science. And when he finally gets down there in the middle of the night with Elias one night, he finds, first of all, their mothers, the brothers' mothers, in like really weird glass tanks. And then he tells Elias that our father was a really sick man. And it, like, you find all these kinds of animals in glass tanks, and you find these books, and you find these pictures where they're merged together, like animals and people merged together. And he goes like, this is so messed up. And then there comes another part of it where the brothers find out that he's been down there. They're trying to attack him again. There's a lot of violence in this movie, but it's made very funny. It's like made like there's the slapstick part, I guess.
They get to know basically that they are a hybrid between
I'm
humans.
coming to that. Yeah, because then Gabriel finally gets to tell the brothers without them attacking him that they're all part animal. That their stem cell scientist father used to, like, he was sterile. He couldn't have children, so he decided to mix up like basically animal sperm with the mother's eggs and stuff. They describe it in the movie in a way that makes total sense, but is still weird. So it turns out that Gabriel, who is very smart and very scientific, is 7.1% owl, which makes a lot of sense because ever since we were children,
even the hair. The hair makes sense.
Even the hair.
The hair makes sense.
But we were told that owls were super smart, and Elias is 11.4% bull, which makes so much sense because of his chronic masturbation kind of thing, since bulls are told to be super sexual and like...
Well, they produce a lot of sperm.
Produce a lot of sperm, and they sell it all over states to like inseminate cows and stuff. And when it comes to the brothers, we haven't talked a lot about the brothers' features, but like you can see it both in how they're displayed, like in their actions, but also how they're dressed, like you said, the hair and like how they look. So we have Joseph, the guy who's always quoting the Bible and reading to everyone. He's the only one who can read except from Gabriel. And he turns out to be 9.5% mouse, which is super fun because he's always running away trying to steal cheese in the house. He's eating cheese everywhere, and he's running around like a little mouse being scared out of conflicts and stuff, but trying to run away all the time.
But he's also like super smart, which like mouse are.
Yeah.
So we have Gabriel. We said he's an owl.
He's an owl.
Joseph is a rat.
Mouse. Or a rat, yeah.
And then we have Elias, which is
he's a bull.
Yeah.
And then this, like, the two last brothers, the one, like, actually what you made me aware of, Gregor, which is 10% dog. And you said, but that's kind of obvious in some sort of way because he's the most sympathetic. Do you say sympathetic? Empathic?
Yes,
I'm losing my language here, but he's very like he's like
the friendly.
He's the friendliest character. He wants everyone to be friends. He wants to cuddle up to his brothers in bed.
And he wants girls.
And he wants girls all the time.
Yeah,
and that's all he talks about. And then we have Franz, which is the most aggressive brother. And he walks around, and the funny part, like the funniest part with his character is that he always, like, what do you call it? Like when you...
well, he's always like nodding heads or
he's hitting people with his face, and he's also like running around with stuffed animals, like hitting people with stuffed animals as weapons. He's very aggressive, and he's also have a very aggressive physical language.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he's 15% chicken. So it makes so much sense, which is the funniest part. Like, he's one of the most... Like, you have Gabriel and Elias as main characters, but Franz is kind of, like... He's the next main character in some sort of way.
Well, he's the leader of these brothers that they meet.
Yeah, but there's a super interesting scene because apparently Franz used to work at the island daycare. They only have one daycare with 2 kids there because they don't have a lot of people. But he's been working there, and it turns out that he's been hitting one of the children in daycare with the stuffed fox.
Yeah, that's how he got fired.
That's how he got fired. So, like, Gabriel has tried to get his job back, but when it comes to the interview, Gabriel can't show up, so Franz asks Elias to go with him instead, and they show up to this meeting, and the woman is there, like the woman who's a supervisor. She's like, I'm very glad you finally came to your senses, basically saying that I see now that you're here to like say you're sorry and seek help. And they're like, no, we're here to get his job back. And she's like, no fucking way. So Franz gets he gets so angry, he like lifts this fox up again and starts hitting the supervisor instead. And you're like, what the hell is happening here? Why is this?
So to summon this up, I just want to hear what do you think, like really quickly, but like what do you think about this movie?
This movie is in so many ways different from what I usually like. I love the things that are absurd. I love the things that are not common to our society or the norms. So that's criterion that are filled very fast. But also, this is a movie that is so smart. It's such a genius kind of like creation. So I love this movie. Every time I see it, I find something new, and I feel stupid at first, and then I feel even smarter because I start finding things. It's like I love being manipulated by this director, and I so much look forward to looking into its other feature films after seeing this. I don't even know what to say because there's so much to say about this movie. I could do a 1.5 hour review of this.
So to finish this off, I think this movie is like in a big way underrated.
Yes.
In a really big way, and like just you need to see stuff that make you uncomfortable.
Yes.
Or I love movies that make me a bit like, because it's so uncomfortable that you believe that it's in reality. It's really realistic in that way.
Yeah.
It's talking about like super deep stuff that I didn't have the time to go into. But there's so much to it, and the director really mastered how to show a plot, how to end the movie in a really good way without making it too lame.
And it's not the happily ever after in the classic way either.
Yeah. Well,
I need to ask you one final question.
It's a weird happily ever after.
It is. I need to ask you one final question, though, because I've been thinking a lot about this. How do you think that this movie would be different if it would have been made in Hollywood?
I think that Hollywood wouldn't have the guts to do this movie.
No.
That's it. Because there's too much criticism to just this normal way of living.
Yeah.
That people wouldn't go to the cinema to see it.
No. Which actually shows, because it was not a big success in America.
Yeah. But this was the first episode with Isabell.
Yes.
I'm so glad that we're doing this, and we're gonna do it every week, hopefully. And
what's next week's movie?
So next week's movie. We didn't decide which movie, but this month we're gonna watch Good Time. We're gonna watch Knives Out, and we're gonna watch Big Fish.
Yeah, which are 3 completely different movies from different years. So it's going to be very interesting. And we're basically choosing these movies based on what we like. Some new, some old, and going out of that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Podcast.
It's first podcast with the new.
With the new
styles, bitches. I'm the bitch. The new bitch in town.
You are the new.
I'm the new bitch. I'm the new thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, I am the new.
You are the new.
Yeah. You've been doing this for some time now.